Hello, the game has started. It's my opponent to go first. I have a fairly unbalanced rack, quite non-bingo-y with F, U and X. But I do have a couple of vowels, so I think I'll be playing... Wow, what a start for opponent. I will be playing rather than changing. Now, a few eagle-eyed amongst you may have noticed my rating slightly higher than at the end of the previous game, and that's because I've just attempted to record a game which, after 2 moves each, opponents abandoned the game and the game was adjudicated in my favour. Always quite frustrating when that happens, but that's one of the perils of online play. So, what to do here? The V hampers parallel plays, and the obvious X spot is underneath the O, but then a play of EX leaves an awful rack leave. What about this? And this has merit because my X can go above the U, so if opponent doesn't play in row H, I could have a big X play. I am sorting my rack out. And there's also an X spot under the O, so I think this has merit. Well, no bingo here. And also no row H play. And no option to play in row I with the X, which burns a T. So that's been an absolutely massive fail. I do have Tetix through the E for a very low score, but it does sort the rack out. And with an S, anything which sorts the rack out has the potential for a bingo next turn. But can I do better than Tetix? Text doesn't get the X tripled. Well, I could play just ticks in row H, should that remain available. And I do have ticks, wow, in column 14, but retaining 3 T's. I'd like to avoid that. I would need 2 R's for Tortrix. Can't see anything through the H. So not too many candidate plays on offer. Certainly the favoured one, row H. And that goes. But look at this, there's a new hot X spot in column 6. Good score for opponent, 44 points. Let me just pause in case I've got a row H play now available. And I don't. So I have ticks in this spot for 53. Wow, again a problematic rack, in the sense that one hopes one's rack will mature into a bingo, and this seems to be treading water or going in the opposite direction. However, the Y is a scoring tile. I should be playing rather than changing, and also looking for a half-decent score. My Y can go above the U, but I'm not seeing any plays which get tripled. Overhot takes nothing after it. So I trail by 80. I have Tootsie on my rack, but that's just a 6-letter play. Oxo is good. So I could play Toy. Not a terrible rack leave. Not a great board for S's, but S is such a useful tile, not only at the end of bingos, and there is a floating E. Let me just put this back. Do I really have nothing through that E? I don't think so. Only 23 points for Toy. Is there a hotter Y spot? What about this next to the E of Lowered, but playing in column 4 rather than row H? No, not seeing anything there. What about footy? That's 20. Well, that's 22 points, even worse than toy. I think toy is best. Oxy is also good. So do I have a play? What about playing Sooty? 27 points. Yeah, and I am behind, so creating this new bingo lane is quite handy, but I am creating quite a hot spot in column 8. I'm actually going back to toy for 23. Great, I have Sooties. I think that's good. Ooziest certainly is, and that may be the only 7 here. Footsies has the F in the wrong spot. What about a play through the D? Osteoids. That again doesn't work. What about a play through the E? Do I have osteosis? No, I would need another S for that. How about a play beginning with R? No, root C is good. Now, wow, look at this. I actually have a spot for ooziest. Fantastic. Many thanks to my opponent for that. Ooziest for 73. Well, this is nearly a good rack. All bingo-y tiles, just the triplicate N that's problematic. Now, I may struggle to score here, since I have no scoring tiles. What about row H? Do I have a play ending I-N-E? Wow, fantastic bingo for opponent. He regains his lead. What can I do here? The top of the board is pretty shut off for bingos, and given opponent's lead, that's not a great position to be in, and it's hard to open it up. And I would quite like to open it up straight away, or play in row H. I don't think there are any row H plays. I have Cedar in column 8. 27 points, keeping R-double-N. Do I have a column 15 play? Well, I do. In 8 for 21. Not a great play because not many bingos end I and not that many end N either. However, it does allow me to create new bingo lanes by playing onto the N. And the opponent may be tempted to play down from the C, which will be creating floaters. This rack leave is slightly consonant heavy, but only just. And the score's a bit dismal. Am I going with this? I am. Not great. Okay, so I trail by 80. And I no longer have a C play. Odic is good. Gosh, I don't quite have enough eyes for Iridic. I do have Irid across here, which sorts out all my duplicates. 16 points. That's not great. What about a play across here? I think I have Crine. Keeping double D. Not good. Given that I'm behind, I really do want to have the best possible rack leave, and I'm inclined to leave Landrace alone because there is this 7-letter bingo lane in row L and beginning underneath the E, And if opponent plays down from the C, which must be tempting, he will be creating floaters. This rack leave isn't terrible, and playing off just a couple of tiles slows down the ending of the game. The R of Overhot also available as a floater. I'm going with this. Is there really nothing which burns a D in row H? What does Crine score? 32 points, 16 more points, keeping did and opening new bingo lanes. I am going with this. I draw the Z. Again, a non-bingo-y rack. And I'm not seeing anything down from the C. So where can I play my Z? Wow, a fantastic bingo for opponent. Plus he burns both blanks. And I'm 110 points behind. And there's nowhere great for my Z. I have Izar. Again, keeping duplicate D, not great. I don't have anything down from the G. Nothing beginning Z with the Z tripled. Lit does take an A in front. I have ads on my rack. Now I have Xyla, which is nice. It's a good score, 54 points. I'm creating a new bingo lane. I'm attracting opponent to play in column 1. If he doesn't, I may well do so. That will create new bingo lanes. I'm going with this. Well, not bingo-y, but retaining double DS. One could hardly expect to have a bingo, but it's not a terrible rack. And I do have an A for going in front of a lit, and surely I can now do something about this duplicate D. There are no more Ds to come, so I'm not going to be faced with 3 of them. I wonder if opponent will be tempted to play down from the C now. I don't have anything in that spot, and I'm not sure I have anything down from the Z either. Well, I have zits. That's not great. So how can I develop the board some more? So nothing at the bottom in column 1, column 8 or column 15. 3 triple word squares, none of them available to me, despite having a fairly balanced rack. So where can I play off a B and a D? I think that's what I'm looking to do. I can play bid for a very low score. Now, can I put my I next to the Q? No, I don't think I can. 11 minutes on my clock. So this is what I saw. Bid, only 14 points, but a pretty good rack leave, and there are quite a few bingo lanes on this board. $14 points. Is this the best I can do? It's the score which really feels lame. What about playing Diver? Well, I only have one B, so that's not an option. and the word may not be good. I'm going back to DIB for 14. So, what do I have here? Gosh, opponent turning over tiles, the right thing to do. He's now 120 points ahead. I don't think I'm in good shape here. Through an E, I would have diastema. And there are bingo lanes on this board for 7s. I'm not seeing one. Adam's sight is the anagram of diastema. Nothing beginning with A. What about the C? Nothing. What about the I? Nothing. What about the N? So I would have the man ending. No, not seeing anything there. So the game is lost. 10 tiles left. What about playing maid? 21 points, creating useful floaters. And I'm going with this. Wow. I have not had a single... Well, I have had a bingo. I've had easiest. And opponent just continues to pile on the scoring pressure. Only 3 tiles left. I do not think I will be bingoing again. However, I may. If I play off W and K, which I can do, I can play uke. So, do I play uke here for 30 points? And I think I will, because there's the floating C and R, there's the floating M and A, and there's row L. So although I'm taking out a useful bingo lane in row N, I think the 30 points is good, because my target now is to lose with the smallest losing spread. So uke for 30. Doesn't look good. I can't see a bingo here. I'm not seeing a 7. So do I have anything through the M? Don't think so. And I'm just looking at the remaining tiles. Opponent might have another bingo. Nothing through the A. How about the C? Not seeing anything there. How about the R? No, not seeing anything there. So remaining floaters are W and K. Nothing through either of those. So an ignoble finish to the game. No scoring tiles on my rack. Opponent empties the bag. I've got the out prefix with ADOS. That doesn't suggest anything. Now, opponent's got sub, so he can play busk, he can play gub, so he certainly is going out. So this is my last turn of the game. So what's the most I can score here? Do I have anything down from the G? I do. I have Goudas, 27 points. I don't think I'm going to score much more than that. And it's not good. Okay, I thought it was. Am I confusing that with something? I thought all the cheeses had come in. Okay, do I have anything across from the W? No. So where else are the scoring tiles on this board? I could play Soja. I've got Saju for 28. And opponent will be going out now, I'm sure. And he does. And the final score, 367 for me, 497 for my opponent, a winning margin of 130 points, so well done to my opponent. Let's see what I missed. And it was my opponent to go first, and he had this fantastic rack and played over hot. My rack, this is X for 39, I didn't like the rack leave. XED also available. That might have changed my opinion, because that is a much nicer rack leave. Fruitex also available, E14. Ah, that is really nice. Fruitex 34, keeping a good rack leave. So I play third for 18, so definitely some better plays on offer. Opponent's rack plays lowered as a double-double. And now I have ticks for 53, which looks fine. Opponent plays IU. And I thought about Sooty, and I then went back to toy for 4 fewer points because it was less dangerous and I preferred the rack leave. Opponent's rack plays he, and look at that, absolutely fantastic. That lowly 2-tile play provides the only spot for my bingo, and indeed my only bingo in the game, and this is as good as it got for me. I trail by 14. And this is a great spot by opponent, a difficult word to find, and he found it, landrace. Now, too many N's here, but the rest of the rack is fine. And I play in 8 for 21, which isn't far off the top plays, and I think the rack leave is better. Look at this. What a mixed bag for opponent. 2 blanks, which is fantastic, but the Q and the V, probably the worst pair to find. Opponent plays off just the Q. And I have Crine for 32, which is fine. And a choice of bingos for opponent. I play Xyla for 54. And Xylas for 52 available, A4. Ah, interesting, Xylas and Slit, but that does burn the S and scores less, so I prefer my play. Opponent plays Zeta. Now, well, there are some G plays, but I don't particularly want to turn over lots of tiles. I trail, but the game isn't beyond me. I'm only 100 points behind. I really need to leave a decent rack leave, and that's what DWEEB achieves. So although I'm sacrificing 19 points, how do the rack leaves compare? So bid, or DWEEB, leaves ADST, and Gaddy's BT. So BT, I would say, is worth negative, probably about -5. And ADST, positive, I would say probably 12 or 13. So I'd say about a 17-point difference in spread. And the difference in score is 19, so fairly similar, in which case I prefer the move with the better rack leave. Opponent does the right thing now and turns over tiles to expedite the end of the game while he's ahead. And this rack initially looked quite bingo-y, but I couldn't find one. And there is none. Agamids was playable for 42. That's not going to win the game for me. So I play Maid for 21. Opponent plays Jag. And now I draw the W and K, and my race is most definitely run. So I play Uke for 30. Opponent plays Pre-Men. And I play Saju, and I could have played Dojos, which would have been slightly better. Well, let's just see what opponent's options were. Yep, sub for 21 was best. So, what a game. Absolutely fantastic start for opponent with a bingo. And he played 2 more bingos in the game, Peeving and Landrace. He established a big lead. And although I chipped away at that lead with Ooziest, I think that was the only solitary point in the game when I was close to my opponent. So I think that's just one of those games where your opponent does well, and it's not a game you really have much hope of of winning, but it's always one's task to do as well as one can with the racks that one has, and it always presents an interesting challenge with each move, which is why Scrabble is such a great game. Anyway, many thanks to my opponent for a good battle. I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.